I'm Thomas Anderson. We're the Humanist Hub Band. And I'd like to introduce the members. Rob Rudin over here on the drums, and Mike Ball on the bass, Diego Sartori on the guitar there. And we're really happy to be here. It's been a great experience for us to be welcomed into this community and become a part of what's going on here. Very grateful to Greg. And it's been an interesting experience for me because I recently moved here, found this place. It's become my home, and I owe that to my fiance/girlfriend/wife over there, Deborah, who's made this my home. This is a song that Sarah suggested that I play, and we're starting right now.
Although Hi, everybody.
Hey, Greg.
Hello. Oh, you know my name. Wow. All right, then. Hi, I'm Greg. I work here. I am the Humanist Chaplain at Harvard University, which is, I actually volunteer for Harvard, full-time, double-time, really, while I'm directing this center and this organization, the Humanist Community at Harvard, and its Humanist Hub, in which you are sitting. And we're really excited to have you here. This space has been open for just a few weeks, and we are in the middle of experimenting with a lot of different things that have enabled us to be bringing together a really exciting community. We're calling this, and it's one of the first places in the country that is being called a Center for Humanist Life. So what that means is it's a center for the life of a community of people who define themselves as humanist, atheist, agnostic, secular, non-religious, free-thinking, friends of the above, allies of the above, etc., etc. And it's been a really exciting process to open the place up and to develop it in that way. Give you a sense of our philosophy. We believe that connecting to our fellow human beings is one of the most profound ways to live a meaningful life. So we've got a motto here that we've chosen for the new space, and it's Connect, Act, Evolve. We believe in helping one another to act on our convictions and live out our values. And we believe in evolution, not just in the sense of celebrating Darwin Day as one of the new holidays to accompany things like St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you who are celebrating. Marching, not marching, breakfasting, not breakfasting, whatever you're doing. Happy holiday to you. But we do celebrate and think about evolution here every year. And also every day as we're thinking about how we can evolve as human beings, evolve as people, evolve as a society, evolve in our ability to connect and act with one another over the course of this one and only life that we will ever have. So, in order to do that, here we have been combining music and art, inspiring talks, interfaith outreach, service to those less fortunate, and education to help people of all ages grow into a community. I'll give you some announcements later on, sort of towards the tail end of the program, about how we're doing that. Just want to say this meeting is being co-sponsored by the Greater Boston Humanists. So if you consider yourself a Greater Boston Humanist, a shout out to you. It's kind of a sister organization. The humanist community at Harvard and the Greater Boston Humanists evolved together over the course of about 30 years. They were sister organizations, both directed by a guy named Tom Farrick, whose funeral or memorial service we just performed here recently. And we haven't really figured out exactly, we know that we really want to work together, and we're excited to do that, and we've got this great space, so we haven't really figured out exactly how we're going to do that yet, but we in the past we've been doing one program a month together, and this is spring break for Harvard. In the past, our community didn't even meet this week, but we just figured we'd give it a try, and the point is that we've got lots of ideas percolating about how we're going to be doing these programs, so we're excited about it. Thank you for being here and helping us experiment. And what else? Am I introducing James now? No, I am not. That is right. I'm introducing David, who's doing a reflection. I got to get used to it myself. All right, David Buckley, community member, welcome. Can I please give us a reflection, which is a new tradition.
In just a minute, James is going to get up and talk about sharing one's identity, true identity, with others. And I wanted to read a reflection. Passage from Walt Whitman's reflection on identity called Song of Myself from Leaves of Grass. Trippers and askers surround me. People I meet, the effect upon me of my early life, or the ward and city I live in, or the nation. The latest dates, discoveries, inventions, societies, authors old and new. My dinner, dress, associates, looks, compliments, dues, the real or fancied indifference of some man or woman I love, the sickness of one of my folks or myself, or ill-doing or loss or lack of money, or depressions or exaltations, battles, the horrors of fratricidal war, the fever of doubtful news, the fitful events. These come to me days and nights and go from me again, but they are not the me myself. Apart from the pulling and hauling stands what I am, stands amused, complacent, compassionating, idle, unitary, looks down, is erect, or bends an arm on impalpable certain rest, looking with side-curved head, curious what will come next, both in and out of the game, and watching and wondering at it. Backward I see in my own days, where I sweated through fog with linguists and contenders. I have no mockings or arguments, I witness and wait.
Hi everybody, I'm Stuart Walmsley. I'm on the board of Greater Boston Humanists, and I'm also the treasurer. I'm also a member. I encourage everybody else to donate to our group. We've been around for a long time, and we're proud to co-sponsor this first talk with the HCH at this new Humanist Hub. Isn't this just a fabulous place?
Yeah.
I mean, the band is amazing. It's really great to have a place like this in Harvard Square that we can all share as a community. And sharing this space with a growing number of secular groups in the Boston area, the chaplain, Greg, and his staff have put together an impressive program of activities, and I encourage all of you to take advantage of the many options now available in our community. Some of you may know, as Greg was mentioning, GBH, Greater Boston Humanists, was founded by Joe Gerstein and by Greg's predecessor as Harvard Humanist chaplain, Tom Farrick, whom we honored 2 weeks ago at a moving memorial service led by Greg and his staff. Tom Farrick was also the executive director of Greater Boston Humanists, formerly Humanist Association of Massachusetts, for over 25 years. And in that role, he organized hundreds of activities and gatherings and helped seed new groups throughout the state, as well as find an excellent new chaplain in Greg. Our local group traditions will continue with our solstice luncheon talks, our summer secular picnic, and with our speaker series as we work with HCH, that's Harvard, Humanist Community at Harvard, and other groups to build a stronger humanist community in the Boston area. One of the new builders of that community is our speaker today. James Croft spoke to us in January of 2012 on fulfilling the promise of humanism by building a temple of the future. You'll see that that's actually one of his websites. He's continuing to work at the humanist community of Harvard and their Humanist Community Project, which is co-sponsored with the American Humanist Association, of which both HCH and GBH are chapters. As he finishes his education here and embarks on the writing with Greg of a book for Simon & Schuster to be called The Godless Congregation. A well-known activist and speaker in humanism today, James is also training to become a leader in the ethical culture movement. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit about that today as well. He and I have a lot in common. He says he was raised on Shakespeare, Sagan, and Star Trek, and is a proud gay humanist. Likewise am I, in all those ways. And I look forward to hearing his stories of coming out. Coming out is something that, as many of you know, is something you do all your life. A continual process. And today he's going to talk about that as both a personal and a political act. So fellow humanists, I present James Croft.
Now, I probably will cry at some point while doing this, so please be aware of that. And bear with me if this is very, very personal. This is probably more personal than any talk I've given in a context like this before. So I'm going to get emotional, I promise. I already am, actually. It's a huge privilege to be here. I'm James, and I've been a graduate student at Harvard for 7 years, almost. And this year, for the first time, I've been working as a teaching fellow for a class at Harvard College, working with the undergraduates. And in class on Monday, we played a sort of educational game. On 5 pieces of colored paper, we wrote different aspects of our identity. Our name, our race, our ethnicity, our gender, our religious or non-religious worldview, and one other aspect of our identity of our choice. And you can see here my 5 identity fragments. James is my name. If you haven't got that yet, pay better attention. I'm English. I identify as male. I'm a humanist. And I'm gay. Now the game proceeds like this. At each stage, you and the other 3 people in your group have to give up one fragment of your identity, keeping those pieces that you feel are most central to who you are. In the first round, I gave up my name. Though I like my name, I don't think it determines my identity. For a short while, when I came to the US, I even considered changing it. One of my high school teachers used to occasionally call me Jas, which is an old shortened version of James, and I kind of liked it. So I thought maybe I'd change my name to Jas when I was moving to America. Then I realized that changing one's name to something else just because you think it's cool and unusual is a fantastically pretentious thing to do. It was one of my infrequent flashes of self-awareness and reflection. So I gave away my name. Next, I gave away my nationality. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can I, with my tea addiction, my sartorial elegance, and my super sexy accent, it is my absolute #1 secret weapon for picking up guys. It works every single time. How can I bear to give up my Englishness? And true, I love my country. I miss it. But if you think about it, I did move here. I see my life being here. I don't think I'd be too different if I was born, say, an American instead of English. French would be bad. But mostly, I don't see my ethnicity as too determinative of my identity. But then it became more difficult. Man, gay, humanist. What do you think I gave up next? I'm actually asking, what do you think?
Humanist.
Male, humanist. Any other suggestions? Some people saw the photos of this on Facebook. Okay. Well, eventually, after a lot of consideration, I decided to give up my gender. I decided that I would rather be a lesbian woman than a straight man. I realized that as much as I love the privileges and power which come along with being male, that's a little bit of a joke. My membership in the queer community, gained by being a sexual minority, was more important to me and more central to who I am now than identifying as male. So I was left with 2 pieces: gay, humanist. For me, those are 2 of the most important pieces of my identity. I feel that that phrase sums up an awful lot about who I am. And not incidentally, those 2 pieces of my identity are very closely linked. They're intertwined in my mind and in my life. But it wasn't always like that. There was a time before I even thought of myself as gay, a long time. And to help you understand why this is, I have to tell you a bit about myself. So this, as I say, is going to be a very personal talk, and I hope you'll bear with me while I talk about my favorite topic. I first tried to come out to my parents when I was 18 years old. That's not right, 17. It was 17. 17. We were eating in an Italian restaurant around the corner from my house, a family night out, perhaps after a movie or something. I can't remember. And everyone was laughing and eating and having a good time. I don't know about you, but I love to eat, particularly Italian. I don't think I could survive without pizza for the rest of my life. I have to have it at least once a week. Then one of my family made a joke about gay people, and I burst into tears. And as I was crying, tears streaming down my face, I confessed, I don't think you should make jokes about those people because I think I am one. Time froze. Everyone stopped talking, and my family looked at me and looked at each other, their forks hovering between the plate and their mouths, bits of spaghetti dropping down and splattering onto the plate. It was like the whole restaurant had heard what I'd said, which is quite possible because I said it really loud. And I waited for the world to end. Now, it's not like I think my parents would have been surprised. To be honest, all the signs were there. I fit every gay stereotype. I was 17 and I'd never had a girlfriend. I spent all my time in the theatre and singing in the choir. Yes, I was a choir boy, still am. Still have the halo. For years as a kid, I studied ballet. I spent years squeezing into a leotard and shiny hot pants and practicing ballet, feeling the wooden floor beneath my feet and the rhythm of the music in my body. I used to stand in the playing field while the other kids were playing football. That's soccer in America, real football, you know. And I would practice my ballet moves on the field instead of playing the game, completely oblivious as balls would sail past me into the goal. I was not very popular as a member of a soccer team. In fact, to give you a sense of what I was like as a young kid, I've actually uncovered some video of me doing ballet from when I was, I think, like 6, I don't even know how old I was, young. And this would be the second time I've ever shown it to any audience that I've given a talk to. Until I got my parents to find it when I was writing this talk, I had never seen it. And I'm going to hope it works. Yeah. It's really old video.
Okay, and put your feet straight. David, I can't quite see you. Could you remember it?
I had so much
Down to the
hair.
stringy part of your foot. Put on a lot of weight on it. Put your heels down. But can you stand in such a way that you're pressing those springs against the floor?
Well, yes. Okay. Thank you, thank you. It was very painful for me to see that video because until I watched that, I was under the impression I was actually good at ballet. And I clearly was no good at all. But even back then, I did know one thing, which is that ballet is all about the face. Yeah? All about the face. So all this stuff sometimes made it difficult for me at school. Some of the kids used to make fun of me for dancing, a lot of them. And it used to make me mad. But the worst thing was this one teacher, the gym teacher at my middle school. He always had this little smirk on his face, like he knew a secret about me that I didn't know. And it was a bad secret. I remember that he was the first person to call me a fag, a term which, at all of 10 years old, I didn't really understand, but I knew it wasn't good. And the teasing and the taunts and the jokes continued through high school, until one morning in the school assembly, the principal intoned, "Homosexuals deserve our pity and our prayers." I remember sitting among my friends and feeling totally alone. I often felt alone as a kid, out of place, unusual. For the longest time, I didn't want to be who I was. I think everyone knows a little bit what this feels like, to want to be someone else. I wish I was fitter. I wish I was taller. I wish I was thinner, stronger, prettier, more popular. I wish I was someone else. We all know how that feels, I think. I used to buy these magazines, you know the type, with pictures of cars and technology and sports and scantily clad women, and sit in my room with them. It's not going to get X-rated, I promise, not yet. Looking at the pictures of the girls and trying to will myself to be attracted to them. And after a while, my eyes would wander to the men's fitness magazines with the totally ripped guys on them, and I'd be like, oh, I need to improve my weightlifting technique. I need some tips on my backhand, you know? Yeah, for a long time I tried to be someone else. I wasn't accepting of myself. I was afraid. When I told my parents that night at 17 years old, I was crying hard. We got back home from the restaurant. I sat down in the front room with my mum, and we talked about sex. You know how that is, right? Those are the best conversations. That's really how I like to spend my evenings as a teenager, talking about my sex life with my mother. She asked me some questions. Have you ever had sex with a woman? And I told the truth. No, I never had. Have you ever had any experiences with guys? And again, I told the truth. No. And then she asked, do you have any sexual feelings towards any of your guy friends? And that was the critical moment, right? This is my chance to tell her that yes, I avoided changing in the locker room because I didn't want other guys to see me looking at them. That when people asked me which movie stars were hottest, I had to make up some person I was into because all I could think of were men. This is my chance to tell her that my obsession with Leonardo DiCaprio, having my hair cut like his, and even getting cloned highlights done, it was a bit bad. It was not really because I thought he was a great actor, you know? This is my chance to be honest, to tell the truth, to be who I am, and finally stop lying to myself and to other people. She came out and directly asked me the question, after I told them that I thought I might be gay. This was my opportunity to speak up, to come out. And I lied. Yeah, I lied to my mum. It's bad, you shouldn't do that. I couldn't go through with it. I was too afraid and confused and ashamed. So instead of doing what I knew I should do, tell the truth, stand up proudly and be heard and be myself, I kept silent. After that conversation, my mum, I think, wanted to let me know it would be okay. She turned to me and said, I still love thinking about this, James, you're a great actor. I did a lot of theatre back then. And actors often have strange sexual proclivities. Thanks, Mum. She was really trying to help. She's a wonderful mother. It was just an odd moment in our relationship. I think she was imagining searching under my bed and finding a box of whips and chains and handcuffs and leather goods or something. She needn't have worried. It took me a few years to get to that. But I finished that night after my great attempt to burst out of the closet in the same position I had begun it. And I stayed like that for 10 years. I spent 10 years in the closet, keeping silent, dating girls, refusing to raise my voice and be who I was. In fact, when I came to the USA 7 years ago, I was still dating women. The very first day I got here, I met Sarah. She was the first person I spoke to on arriving on campus, and she had the dorm room next to mine. I liked her immediately. I liked her easygoing attitude, her love of life. She was beautiful, she is beautiful, and most of all, her way with people. Sarah has the capability to get anyone to do any favor for her, however big. It's remarkable. We soon started dating, and since we were both huge romantics, we were the cutest couple. One Valentine's Day, I made an unscheduled appearance in one of her classes and said, "I'm sorry for the interruption, Professor. Would you please excuse Sarah, the love of my life?" Yeah. We spent the evening on a harbour cruise in the bay, dancing together, our swaying matching the gentle swaying of the ship. I gave her a brooch of her favourite animal, the seahorse. She loves it because seahorses mate for life. We're reaching the ultimate romance barrier here. Once, on a vacation to Disney World, a woman saw us together and asked if we were newlyweds. I guess we gave off that soppy, syrupy, soft focus vibe of a newly married couple, just all the time. But that feeling that something wasn't right, which caused me to blurt out that I might be gay at the Italian restaurant many years before, stuck with me. I told Sarah when we first started dating, as I told all the women that I dated, that I thought I might be bisexual. I was trying to be honest. Our relationship was amazing, but some things were more difficult than I thought they should be and less enjoyable. I loved Sarah. I genuinely, truly loved her, and I still do. But if I'm honest, and I'm capable of being honest now, I didn't lust her. And I knew that she deserved someone who wanted to be with her in every way. And I struggled with that. People sometimes say they have sleepless nights as a metaphor, you know? But I actually had whole nights I couldn't sleep because I was racked with guilt and doubt and shame. Shame about what I suspected about myself, shame at how I was implicating someone else in a personal struggle, and shame that I didn't have the courage to face who I was. Eventually, after 2.5 years of going out together, when it became clear our relationship was getting more serious, we were shopping for strollers in Toys R Us and looking at houses and stuff like that, we decided we had to go on a break so I could figure things out. So we did, and I was left trying to figure things out. Now, how do you do that exactly? How do you take a lifetime of repression and fear and guilt and secrets and unravel them on demand? Well, it turns out you go to New Orleans. Yes, that's how you do it. New Orleans, the Big Easy, the site of the very first annual spring break service trip that the humanist graduate community at Harvard ever had, which happened pretty much exactly 4 years ago today. Right? It is this coming week which marks my outerversary, which is why it's very appropriate to be talking about this now. I was going there with other members of the humanist graduate community at Harvard, at least one of whom is here right now, and Greg, yes, of course, to work beside the people of New Orleans in their attempt to rebuild their communities after Hurricane Katrina. But I was also there during my break with Sarah to be the gayest James that I could be, to try on a new identity and see how it fit, if only for a week. I don't know exactly why that trip seemed like the right moment, but something in me clearly told it was, because I had come prepared with an enormous bag of condoms, none of which I ever actually used, but which were a powerful signal of my intent. I was going to do this right. I remember the whole scene so vividly of that week. It just sticks in my memory, the plane as it lands, banking left and right, tilting its wings up and down, New Orleans coming into this view of the small oval windows, scenes of the city alternating with clear expanses of bright blue water. I remember as the week progresses, I let it all out. I fulfilled every gay stereotype. Every time I saw a cute guy, I would say so. Every time I wanted to compliment someone's clothing, I would do it. Every time I wanted to sing a song from a musical, I sang it. I even began to dress differently. Actually, I have, you'll be able to see in just a second, I have some photos from this trip which are quite telling, and I think Sarah got a hint when I started posting them on Facebook that something was going on. I even began to dress differently, buying a fabulous black shirt with a fleur-de-lis, the insignia of New Orleans, sculpted on the front in metal studs. Right? Yes, that is on the photos from that week. You took that picture, right? And there's Lauren too. And yes, right? Yeah. And that's my shirt. That's a freaking amazing shirt, and I still have it, and it still fits, and I still rock it, right? And I wore it out for nights on the town. And somehow it feels right. I can feel myself coming into focus, like the image in binoculars as you twist the lenses. On our last day in town, I decided to take a pilgrimage. Clad in my fleur-de-lis shirt, with my iPhone as my guide, I trekked to Café Lafitte in Exile, America's oldest gay bar, towards the end of famous Bourbon Street. I'm tingling as I walk through the door. I don't drink, so I'm not much of one for bars in any case, and this is my first gay bar. I make my way up the stairs and out onto the balcony, lean on the railing, look down at the street in the cool night air, and feel at home. Later, a man wanting to get past me in the rapidly crowding bar comes up behind me, places his hands on my hips, shifts me gently to one side, and says in my ear, "Excuse me, darling." Just that touch, that one touch, and a tingle runs through my body, a shudder through my bones, and I realized, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like. 10 years of repression melts in an instant, gone in the soft heat of a southern drawl. And suddenly, I know who I am. It's as if I've been trying to fit the last piece of a jigsaw puzzle into place, turning it this way and that, twisting and bending it, trying to force it, and now suddenly it finds its place where it was meant to be all along, and the picture it makes is different from what I imagined, but so much more beautiful. I'm home. It was in that trip that I found myself. And this is the photo that was taken just after that. I told you. So I went home, and I called Sarah. I called the love of my life to tell her that I'm gay. We couldn't have kids together, and we weren't going to get married. That was the most difficult phone call I've ever made in my life. By comparison, my family was much easier. My sister, when I told her, said, "Oh my God, at last." My brother said, "I'm so glad you're happy. Now I have to get back to my video game." We take video games very seriously in my family. My parents were both very supportive. Then the next day, the day after I got back, I went on Grindr and asked me privately if you want to know more about what happened. Coming out has profoundly changed my life in ways both expected and unexpected. I expected to have to deal with overt acts of prejudice and discrimination, and I have. I've been yelled at on the street, I've been threatened with violence, I've been insulted online. Someone on a Catholic blog once called me a catamite. Wikipedia informs me that this is a pubescent boy who was the intimate companion of a young man in ancient Rome, usually in a pederastic friendship. Which sounds quite hot, actually. I was actually quite flattered by that. In Latin, no less. Probably the most erudite insult I've ever received.